In the heart of the American Southwest lies a landscape so extreme, so unforgiving, that it challenges the very definition of life itself. Here, temperatures soar beyond 130 degrees Fahrenheit, making it one of the hottest places on Earth. From the smallest insect to the most cunning predator, creatures have evolved extraordinary adaptations. They have become masters of an impossible world, turning the desert's cruelest weapons into tools of survival. Welcome to Death Valley National Park. In this crucible of survival, every day presents a new battlefield, but the heat is only one adversary. Water, the essence of all life, exists here in quantities so meager that every drop becomes a treasure worth fighting for. Springs emerge from hidden depths like miracles, creating oases that become the epicenters of fierce competition. Predators lurk near these life-giving sources, knowing that desperation will eventually drive their prey into the open. The night brings its own challenges. While the mercury plummets from scorching to merely warm, a different kind of hunt begins. Creatures emerge from their daytime refuges, and the desert transforms into an arena of deadly encounters. The darkness that provides relief from the sun also conceals the movements of those who hunt and those who flee. Food chains here operate under rules unknown to gentler ecosystems. Every meal could be the last, every moment of inattention potentially fatal. Predators must be opportunists, capable of taking advantage of any weakness, any mistake. Prey animals have developed senses so acute they border on supernatural, detection systems so sophisticated they can sense danger from vast distances across the empty landscape. Death Valley stretches across more than 3 million acres of the Mojave Desert, encompassing elevations from 282 feet below sea level to peaks exceeding 11,000 feet. This dramatic topography creates a patchwork of microhabitats, each presenting unique challenges and opportunities for the wildlife that calls this place home. The valley floor, covered in salt flats and alkaline pools, appears devoid of life to the casual observer. Yet closer inspection reveals a hidden world of specialized organisms that have learned to thrive in conditions that would be toxic to most life forms. Here, the interplay between geology and biology creates scenarios found nowhere else on Earth. Rising from this alien landscape, alluvial fans spread like frozen waterfalls of stone and sediment. These elevated areas provide crucial escape routes from the valley's most extreme temperatures, offering slightly cooler refuges where desperate creatures can wait out the worst of the day's heat. The mountains that ring the valley create their own weather patterns and microclimates. Their slopes harbor hidden springs and provide the elevation gradients necessary for many species to survive the seasonal temperature swings. These peaks serve as islands of relative hospitality in an ocean of hostility. As we begin our journey through this remarkable ecosystem, we encounter first the creatures of the night, those shadow dancers who have learned to make darkness their ally. Moving silently across the cooling sand, a ghostly figure begins our tale of impossible survival. In the deepest darkness before dawn, when the desert finally releases its stored heat into the star-filled sky, a small shadow moves with purpose across the sandy expanse. The desert kit fox emerges from its underground refuge, its oversized ears swiveling like radar dishes, scanning for the slightest sound that might indicate prey or predator. This remarkable creature, weighing no more than 5 pounds, represents one of nature's most perfect adaptations to extreme heat. Its enormous ears serve as natural air conditioners, radiating body heat into the cool night air with remarkable efficiency. The fox's pale coat reflects moonlight, making it appear almost spectral as it navigates the nocturnal landscape. Watch as it pauses, head tilted, listening. Those magnificent ears have detected something beneath the sand. A kangaroo rat, perhaps, moving through its own tunnel system just inches below the surface. The fox's acute hearing can pinpoint the exact location of prey, moving through sand with precision that seems almost magical. The hunt begins with careful positioning. The kit fox moves to where it calculates its target will emerge, then waits with the patience of a master hunter. When the moment comes, it explodes into action, diving headfirst into the sand with its powerful front paws, attempting to snare its prey before it can escape deeper into its burrow network. Desert kit foxes have developed social structures unlike their relatives in more hospitable climates. Family groups share elaborate den systems that can extend 20 feet underground, with multiple entrances and climate-controlled chambers. These underground cities provide protection from both predators and the crushing heat of day. During the brutal summer months, these foxes enter a state of reduced activity that borders on dormancy. They remain in their cool underground chambers for up to 20 hours per day, emerging only when absolutely necessary to hunt or drink. Their kidneys have evolved to be incredibly efficient, allowing them to survive on minimal water intake by extracting maximum moisture from their prey. As dawn approaches, and our kit fox retreats to its subterranean sanctuary, the changing light reveals tracks in the sand that tell stories of the night's activities. But these traces will not remain long, for the desert's cleaning crew is already at work. High above, riding the thermal currents that will soon become corridors of scorching air, a master of aerial surveillance begins its day. As the first thermal currents of morning begin to rise from the warming desert floor, a magnificent silhouette appears against the lightening sky. The turkey vulture, with its 6-foot wingspan spread wide, rides these invisible elevators of heated air with the grace of a master pilot. Its red, featherless head turns methodically from side to side, scanning the vast landscape below with eyes that can detect the smallest signs of opportunity. This aerial sentinel possesses one of the most sophisticated sensory systems in the animal kingdom. While most birds rely primarily on sight, the turkey vulture has developed an extraordinary sense of smell that allows it to detect the chemical signatures of decay from miles away. Specialized receptors in its nasal passages can identify the specific compounds released by decomposing tissue, turning the bird into a living chemical detector. Watch as it adjusts its flight pattern, following an invisible trail of scent molecules carried on the desert wind. The vulture's flight appears effortless, but it represents a masterclass in energy conservation. By utilizing thermals and updrafts, these birds can soar for hours without a single wing beat, covering hundreds of miles while expending minimal energy. The turkey vulture's role in the Death Valley ecosystem extends far beyond simple scavenging. In a landscape where water is scarce and decomposition occurs slowly in the dry air, these birds serve as the desert's cleanup crew, preventing the accumulation of disease-causing bacteria and returning nutrients to the food web. Their digestive systems have evolved to handle pathogens that would kill most other animals. Stomach acid with a pH approaching that of battery acid allows them to consume carrion that has been contaminated with bacteria, viruses, and toxins that would prove fatal to other scavengers. This remarkable adaptation makes them virtually immune to diseases like anthrax and cholera. During the heat of midday, when surface temperatures become unbearable, turkey vultures employ a behavior called urohydrosis. They defecate on their own legs, using the evaporation of liquid waste to cool their bodies. While this might seem unpleasant to human sensibilities, it represents another brilliant adaptation to extreme heat. As our vulture continues its patrol, riding the strengthening thermals higher into the cloudless sky, movement far below catches its attention. Near a rare desert spring, a small herd has gathered for their morning drink. These creatures have traveled far through the darkness to reach this oasis, and their presence will soon attract other visitors to this crucial water source. At the edge of a precious spring, where water seeps from ancient rock formations to create a small pool of liquid life, a magnificent ram raises his massive head to survey his surroundings. The desert bighorn sheep stands nearly 4 feet tall at the shoulder, his curved horns adding another foot to his imposing presence. These horns, growing continuously throughout his life, can weigh up to 30 pounds and serve as both weapons and symbols of dominance within the herd. The sheep's approach to the water is cautious and methodical. Each step is calculated, hooves finding purchase on rocky surfaces that would challenge the most experienced human climbers. These specially adapted hooves feature hard outer shells and soft, rubbery centers that provide grip on the smoothest stone surfaces. The split hoof design allows for incredible precision on narrow ledges and steep canyon walls. Watch as the ram's eyes constantly scan the surrounding cliffs and rocky outcrops. Those amber eyes have evolved to detect the slightest movement across vast distances, an essential skill when predators might be watching from any direction. The sheep's peripheral vision extends nearly 340 degrees, leaving almost no blind spots for potential threats to exploit. The desert bighorn's relationship with water defines much of their behavior. Unlike their mountain cousins, these sheep have learned to survive on surprisingly little water, sometimes going for days without drinking by extracting moisture from desert vegetation. However, they must still visit water sources regularly, especially during the hottest months when dehydration can occur within hours. Their movement patterns follow ancient routes carved into the collective memory of the species. These traditional pathways connect water sources, feeding areas, and escape terrain across hundreds of square miles. Knowledge of these routes is passed from generation to generation, creating a living map of survival that has been refined over thousands of years. The sheep's diet consists primarily of desert shrubs, cacti, and grasses that would be unpalatable or even toxic to most other mammals. Their digestive systems have adapted to extract maximum nutrition from these sparse resources, and they possess an almost supernatural ability to locate the most nutritious plants in any given area. As the herd finishes drinking and begins to move away from the spring, their departure follows a precise protocol. The dominant ram positions himself to watch for danger while the ewes and young move to safety first. This choreographed retreat reflects the harsh reality that in Death Valley, even the simple act of drinking water requires military-like precision. But the bighorn sheep are not the only large mammals that have mastered survival in this extreme environment. As the sheep disappear into the rocky maze of canyon walls, another desert dweller approaches the spring. This newcomer moves with a different kind of confidence. The easy gait of a predator that fears little in its domain. From the shadow of a wind-carved boulder, a tawny form emerges with fluid grace. The mountain lion moves like liquid smoke across the desert landscape, each step placed with the precision of a master stalker. At nearly 8 feet from nose to tail, and weighing up to 140 pounds, this apex predator represents the ultimate expression of hunting efficiency in the desert ecosystem. The cat's pale coat provides perfect camouflage against the sun-bleached rocks and sandy washes of Death Valley. But it is not just the coloration that makes this predator nearly invisible. It is the way the animal moves, flowing from shadow to shadow like a ghost made manifest. Every muscle works in harmony to eliminate sound, vibration, and unnecessary movement that might alert potential prey. Watch as the mountain lion approaches the spring with calculated patience. Its golden eyes survey every possible hiding place, every potential ambush point where prey might be concealed. Those eyes, adapted for both bright daylight and dim twilight conditions, can detect the slightest movement from hundreds of yards away. The lion's hunting strategy in Death Valley differs significantly from its behavior in more traditional habitats. Here, prey is scattered across vast distances, requiring the cat to cover enormous territories in search of sufficient food. A single mountain lion's territory can encompass over 300 square miles of desert, an area that would support multiple lions in more prey-rich environments. This massive territory requirement has led to remarkable adaptations in the desert mountain lion's behavior. They have developed an almost supernatural ability to remember the locations of prey trails, water sources, and seasonal feeding areas across their vast domains. Their mental mapping abilities allow them to optimize hunting routes and minimize energy expenditure in an environment where every calorie counts. The mountain lion's powerful hindquarters enable it to leap vertically up to 18 feet, a crucial ability when navigating Death Valley's cliff faces and rocky outcrops. These same muscles provide the explosive power needed for the cat's signature hunting technique, the devastating ambush attack that can cover 40 feet in a single bound. Unlike many desert predators that rely on persistence or group hunting, the mountain lion is built for brief, intense encounters. Its hunting style requires getting close enough to prey to ensure success with a single attack, because in the desert heat, extended chases are energy-expensive gambles that few predators can afford. As our mountain lion completes its cautious approach to the water, it demonstrates the wariness that keeps apex predators alive in harsh environments. Even the desert's top predator must respect the dangers that lurk in this unforgiving landscape. But not all threats come from other large predators. Sometimes the greatest dangers come in much smaller packages, creatures whose weapons are not claws and teeth, but chemistry and stealth. While the mountain lion stalks through rocky terrain above, the valley floor hosts its own deadly hunter. The sidewinder rattlesnake lies in perfect concealment beneath a creosote bush, its body positioned in the characteristic S-curve that gives this species its name. This snake has mastered perhaps the most challenging form of locomotion ever evolved, sidewinding across loose sand with an efficiency that seems to defy physics. The sidewinder's movement is hypnotic to observe. It throws its body in a series of lateral curves, with only 2 points of its body touching the ground at any time. This creates the distinctive parallel J-shaped tracks that mark its passage across the desert sand. This method of locomotion allows the snake to move across surfaces that would bog down other creatures, while simultaneously keeping most of its body elevated above the burning sand. Temperature regulation for a sidewinder requires constant behavioral adjustment. During summer days, when surface temperatures can exceed 160 degrees Fahrenheit, the snake burrows into sand or seeks shade beneath rocks. Its scales are specialized to reflect heat, and its light coloration helps it blend with the desert substrate while minimizing heat absorption. Most remarkably, the sidewinder can temporarily shut down non-essential biological functions during extreme heat, entering a state of reduced consciousness that conserves both energy and water. The hunting strategy of the sidewinder is perfectly adapted to desert conditions. It positions itself along game trails or near water sources, relying on ambush rather than pursuit. Its heat-sensing pits can detect temperature differences as small as 0.003 degrees Celsius, allowing it to track warm-blooded prey even in complete darkness. The snake's venom is precisely calibrated to quickly immobilize prey, preventing escape that could lead to a prolonged chase in energy-draining conditions. A flash of blue catches our attention as a scrubland jay lands on a nearby Joshua tree. This intelligent corvid has adapted to desert life with remarkable behavioral flexibility, demonstrating problem-solving abilities that rival those of much larger animals. The scrubland jay's success in Death Valley stems not from specialized physical adaptations, but from exceptional intelligence and behavioral plasticity. These jays are social creatures, living in extended family groups that can include multiple generations. Their complex social structure serves crucial survival functions in the desert environment. Group members share information about food sources, water locations, and potential dangers across vast territories. During extreme weather conditions, family groups may aggregate in the most favorable microclimates, sharing resources and protection. The scrubland jay's diet is remarkably diverse, including insects, small reptiles, eggs, nestlings, seeds, and even carrion. Their food caching behavior is legendary among desert animals. Individual jays may create thousands of food caches across their territory, remembering the location of each cache with remarkable precision. This behavior allows them to survive during periods when food is scarce, effectively spreading risk across both time and space. Watch as the jay investigates every crevice and shadow, its intelligence evident in its systematic approach to foraging. These birds are also tool users, employing twigs and other objects to extract insects from crevices. Their problem-solving abilities extend to complex social situations, with individuals capable of deception, cooperation, and tactical thinking that would be impressive in much larger-brained animals. The scrubland jay's communication system is particularly sophisticated, with different calls for various types of predators, food sources, and social situations. During the breeding season, pairs engage in elaborate courtship displays that include gift-giving and synchronized movements. Their nesting behavior is carefully timed to coincide with peak food availability, typically following winter rains that trigger insect emergence and plant growth. The jay's presence often signals the beginning of increased morning activity, as other desert creatures respond to its calls and movements. A rustling in the nearby vegetation reveals our next desert specialist, a creature whose existence seems to mock the very concept of desert survival. The ringtail, sometimes called a miner's cat despite being neither a cat nor particularly associated with mining, emerges from a rocky crevice with the fluid grace of a creature perfectly adapted to navigating the desert's vertical landscape. The ringtail's most distinctive feature is its magnificent tail, nearly as long as its body and marked with alternating black and white bands. The desert iguana, largest lizard in the Mojave Desert, emerges from its overnight retreat with the deliberate movements of an animal that has mastered the art of thermal regulation. The desert iguana's relationship with temperature is so precise that it seems almost supernatural. This lizard can tolerate body temperatures that would be fatal to most vertebrates, remaining active when surface temperatures exceed 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Its heat tolerance allows it to forage during times when most other animals must seek shelter, giving it access to food resources that are unavailable to competitors. Watch as the iguana positions itself to catch the morning sun, its body oriented to maximize heat absorption. Within minutes, it will reach its optimal operating temperature and begin its daily activities. The iguana's movement across the sand is a study in efficiency, its body held high to minimize contact with the hot surface, its feet moving in a rapid rhythm that prevents any single foot from remaining in contact with the sand long enough to cause thermal damage. The desert iguana's diet consists primarily of creosote bush leaves and flowers, making it one of the few vertebrates capable of deriving nutrition from this abundant but toxic desert plant. Its digestive system includes specialized bacteria that break down the plant's defensive compounds, allowing the iguana to exploit a food source that is unavailable to most other animals. The iguana's reproductive behavior is closely tied to the desert's seasonal patterns. Mating occurs in spring, following winter rains that trigger plant growth and provide optimal conditions for egg development. Females dig elaborate nests in areas with specific thermal properties, ensuring that developing eggs experience the temperature fluctuations necessary for proper development. As the desert iguana settles into its morning basking routine, a quick movement in the peripheral vision reveals another master of desert survival. The zebra-tailed lizard darts across an open patch of ground in a series of lightning-fast sprints, its distinctive black and white striped tail held high like a banner. The Gambel's quail, a ground-dwelling bird that seems almost impossibly vulnerable in this harsh landscape, emerges from beneath a sagebrush with a confidence that suggests hidden strengths. This remarkable bird has evolved strategies for desert survival that rival those of any mammal or reptile. The Gambel's quail's most distinctive feature is its forward-curving head plume, which serves both as ornamentation and as a shade device to protect the bird's eyes from the intense desert sun. The quail's compact, rounded body minimizes the surface area exposed to the heat while maximizing internal volume for vital organs. Its legs are strong and well adapted for rapid ground movement, allowing it to navigate rocky terrain with remarkable agility. Social behavior is crucial to the Gambel's quail's survival strategy. These birds live in coveys that can include dozens of individuals during winter months. The group provides multiple advantages, including enhanced predator detection, shared knowledge of food and water sources, and collective defense against threats. Watch as members of the covey communicate through a complex system of calls, maintaining contact even when scattered across brushy terrain. The quail's diet is remarkably diverse, including seeds, leaves, flowers, fruits, and insects. Their feeding behavior changes seasonally, with green vegetation providing most of their water needs during winter and spring months. During summer's extreme heat, quails seek shade during midday hours, becoming active primarily during dawn and dusk when temperatures are more tolerable. Water conservation in Gambel's quail involves both physiological and behavioral adaptations. Their kidneys are highly efficient at concentrating urine, and they can derive most of their water needs from food when free water is unavailable. However, unlike some desert animals, quails do require access to water during the hottest months, making them dependent on springs and other reliable water sources. The quail's reproductive timing is closely linked to environmental conditions, particularly rainfall patterns that determine food availability. During favorable years, pairs may raise multiple broods, but during drought conditions, breeding may be delayed or skipped entirely. This reproductive flexibility allows populations to persist through the desert's unpredictable cycles. As our covey of quails disappears into the morning shadows, The steadily climbing sun brings with it an awareness that the day's comfortable temperatures are rapidly disappearing. The desert's diurnal rhythm is beginning to shift toward the extreme heat that will soon drive most creatures to seek shelter. But before that transition occurs, we encounter one final character in this morning's drama, a creature whose presence here seems to challenge every assumption about habitat requirements. The yellow warbler, a small songbird more commonly associated with riparian forests and wetlands, flits through the branches of a desert willow growing near a seasonal seep. This tiny bird, weighing less than half an ounce, represents one of the most remarkable examples of ecological flexibility in the avian world. Its presence in Death Valley during migration periods demonstrates the unexpected connections between the desert and distant ecosystems. The yellow warbler's bright plumage seems almost shocking against the muted tones of the desert landscape. Males are brilliant yellow with distinct reddish streaks on their chest, while females display more subdued but equally beautiful yellow-green coloration. Their small size belies their remarkable endurance, as these birds are capable of non-stop flights covering hundreds of miles during migration. The warbler's feeding behavior in the desert environment requires significant behavioral modification from its typical forest lifestyle. Instead of gleaning insects from broadleaf trees, desert-dwelling warblers must adapt to finding prey among desert shrubs and cacti. They become particularly skilled at capturing insects that emerge during the brief periods of high activity at dawn and dusk. Water requirements present a significant challenge for yellow warblers in the desert. Unlike permanent desert residents, these birds have not evolved the extreme water conservation adaptations necessary for long-term desert survival. They are entirely dependent on finding reliable water sources, making desert springs and seeps absolutely crucial to their survival during migration stopovers. The yellow warbler's presence in Death Valley is typically brief but vitally important. These birds use the valley as a stopover point during their lengthy migrations between breeding grounds in northern forests and wintering areas in Central and South America. Their ability to navigate to scattered water sources across the vast desert landscape demonstrates remarkable spatial memory and navigation skills. As darkness falls and the desert's temperature begins its nightly descent, a very different kind of predator emerges from its daytime refuge. The desert hairy scorpion, North America's largest scorpion species, scuttles across the cooling sand with surprising grace for a creature whose lineage dates back over 400 million years. At nearly 6 inches in length, this formidable arachnid represents one of evolution's most successful designs. The scorpion's body appears armored for battle, covered in a tough exoskeleton that provides protection from both predators and the desert's extreme conditions. But look closer at those seemingly simple appendages. Each leg terminates in specialized sensors that can detect vibrations in the sand from remarkable distances. These creatures essentially hear through their feet, picking up the movement of prey animals through solid ground. Watch as our scorpion pauses, its pincers held ready, and its tail curved forward in the classic striking position. Those pedipalps, or claws, are more than simple grasping tools. They contain thousands of mechanoreceptors that can distinguish between different types of prey based on texture, size, and movement patterns. The scorpion can literally feel the difference between a struggling cricket and a threatening spider. The most feared weapon in the scorpion's arsenal curves above its head like a medieval mace. The stinger contains a complex cocktail of neurotoxins specifically designed to immobilize prey while keeping the meat fresh for consumption. But this venom serves a dual purpose, functioning also as a last resort defense mechanism against larger predators that might view the scorpion as prey. Desert hairy scorpions have mastered one of nature's most challenging balancing acts, maintaining the proper water balance in an environment where moisture is almost non-existent. Their exoskeleton is virtually waterproof, preventing precious body fluids from evaporating into the dry air. Additionally, their kidneys can concentrate waste products to such a degree that they lose almost no water through excretion. These remarkable arachnids can survive for up to a year without food, slowing their metabolism to barely detectable levels during times of scarcity. When prey becomes available, they can consume up to 1/3 of their body weight in a single feeding, storing the energy as fat reserves that sustain them through lean periods. The scorpion's reproductive strategy reflects the harsh realities of desert life. Females carry their young on their backs for several weeks after hatching, providing protection and transportation until the juveniles develop the skills necessary for independent survival. This extended parental care is unusual among arachnids, but essential in an environment where inexperience equals death. As our scorpion continues its nocturnal hunt, moving with prehistoric purpose across the ancient landscape, it shares the darkness with creatures that have chosen very different strategies for desert survival. While the scorpion relies on armor and venom, other desert dwellers have evolved towards speed and evasion, becoming living embodiments of motion in a landscape that demands efficiency. In the silver moonlight that bathes the desert floor, a small form executes a series of gravity-defying leaps that would make an Olympic gymnast envious. The kangaroo rat, despite its name, is neither kangaroo nor rat, but rather a unique rodent that has achieved what might be the most perfect adaptation to desert life found anywhere on Earth. Weighing less than 5 ounces, this remarkable creature can leap distances of up to 9 feet in a single bound. The kangaroo rat's oversized hind legs contain spring-loaded tendons that store and release energy with remarkable efficiency. Watch as it moves across the desert floor, never touching down with its front paws, using its enormous tail as both a balancing pole and a steering mechanism. These acrobatic abilities serve a crucial purpose beyond simple locomotion. They represent a highly evolved escape system designed to confuse and evade the many predators that hunt these nutritious morsels. But perhaps the most remarkable adaptation of the kangaroo rat is invisible to the casual observer. These animals have achieved something that borders on the miraculous. They can survive their entire lives without ever drinking water. Their kidneys have evolved to be so efficient that they can extract every possible drop of moisture from their food, while producing urine that is 5 times more concentrated than that of humans. The rat's cheek pouches serve as mobile pantries, allowing it to gather seeds rapidly in dangerous open areas, before retreating to the safety of its burrow to consume them. These pouches can expand to hold hundreds of small seeds, and the rat's sense of touch is so refined that it can identify different seed types by feel alone. Underground, the kangaroo rat's burrow system represents an engineering marvel that would impress human architects. These multi-chambered complexes can extend 6 feet deep and feature separate rooms for sleeping, food storage, and waste disposal. The deepest chambers maintain temperatures up to 20 degrees cooler than the surface, providing crucial relief from the desert heat. The entrance to these burrows features a sophisticated climate control system. During the day, the rat plugs the entrance with sand, creating a sealed environment that traps moisture from its own breathing and prevents the dry desert air from entering. This simple behavior can increase the relative humidity inside the burrow to over 30%, a dramatic improvement over the desert's typical 5% humidity. Kangaroo rats possess hearing so acute they can detect the wing beats of approaching owls from remarkable distances. Their enlarged ear bones amplify the slightest sounds, providing early warning systems that often mean the difference between life and death. When danger is detected, they can change direction mid-leap, confusing predators with their unpredictable flight patterns. As our kangaroo rat disappears into its burrow system, with cheek pouches bulging with the night's harvest, the approaching dawn signals a changing of the guard in Death Valley's complex ecosystem. While creatures like the kangaroo rat retreat underground to wait out the crushing heat, others are just beginning to stir, preparing to take advantage of the brief window of comfortable temperature that occurs just after sunrise. As the first rays of sunlight paint the tops of distant mountains gold, a bold voice cuts through the desert silence. The cactus wren, Arizona's state bird, announces the dawn with a harsh, chattering call that seems too large for its 7-inch frame. Perched atop a towering saguaro cactus, this fearless bird surveys its thorny kingdom with the confidence of a creature that has made the impossible possible. The cactus wren has achieved what few birds have managed: complete mastery of one of nature's most forbidding environments. Unlike most desert birds that migrate to cooler climates during the harsh summer months, the cactus wren remains year-round, thriving in conditions that would drive away nearly any other avian species. Watch as our wren begins its morning routine, hopping from branch to branch among the razor-sharp spines of its cactus home. Those spines, deadly to most creatures, provide the wren with the perfect combination of nesting sites, hunting perches, and protection from predators. The bird's thick-soled feet and specially adapted leg scales allow it to navigate this spiny fortress without injury. The wren's hunting strategy reflects a bird that has learned to exploit every possible food source in a resource-poor environment. It searches methodically through the cactus joints, probing with its slightly curved beak for insects, spiders, and larvae that shelter in the plant's crevices. During times of abundance, particularly after rare rainfalls, the wren will also consume cactus fruits and nectar, adapting its diet to seasonal availability. Perhaps most remarkably, the cactus wren has developed behavioral adaptations that help it cope with extreme heat. During the hottest part of the day, it positions itself to create shade over its eggs or chicks, spreading its wings like a living umbrella. This behavior, called gular fluttering, involves rapid vibration of the throat and mouth area to increase heat loss through evaporation. The bird's nest construction represents one of nature's most ingenious architectural solutions. Built among the protective spines of cactus plants, these football-shaped structures feature multiple chambers and are oriented to minimize heat absorption. The entrance tunnel faces away from prevailing winds and direct sunlight, creating a climate-controlled environment for raising young. Cactus wrens are among the few desert birds that maintain territories year-round, defending their cactus groves with surprising aggression. They have been observed attacking much larger birds, including hawks and ravens, when these predators venture too close to active nests. This territorial behavior ensures access to the best hunting grounds and nesting sites in an environment where prime real estate is extremely limited. The wren's social structure also reflects adaptation to harsh conditions. Mated pairs often construct multiple nests throughout their territory, using inactive nests as roosting sites during extreme weather. The desert tortoise, some individuals living over 80 years, represents one of the most successful long-term survival strategies in Death Valley's harsh ecosystem. This living relic of prehistoric times has watched the desert change through generations, accumulating wisdom that spans human lifetimes. The tortoise's shell, reaching up to 15 inches in length, serves as both fortress and climate control system. The high domed shape helps deflect the sun's rays while creating air circulation patterns that cool the animal's body. Those seemingly clumsy legs can actually move the tortoise at surprising speeds when necessary, covering up to 200 yards per hour during migrations to feeding areas or water sources. Watch as our tortoise begins its methodical search for breakfast, its keen eyes scanning for the tender new growth of desert plants. Despite the harsh environment, the desert tortoise is strictly vegetarian, with a digestive system perfectly adapted to extract maximum nutrition and moisture from desert vegetation. It can consume plants that would be toxic to most other animals, including species high in oxalates and other defensive compounds. The tortoise's approach to water conservation represents one of nature's most elegant solutions to desert life. Its oversized bladder can store water equivalent to 40% of its body weight, allowing it to survive for over a year without drinking during drought conditions. When rain does fall, the tortoise positions itself to channel every possible drop into its mouth, drinking eagerly to refill its biological reservoir. Underground, the desert tortoise constructs burrows that serve as sophisticated environmental control systems. These tunnels can extend up to 30 feet in length and 10 feet deep, maintaining temperatures up to 40 degrees cooler than the surface. The burrow's entrance is often positioned to catch winter sun while avoiding summer heat, demonstrating the tortoise's intuitive understanding of solar orientation. During the brief spring season following winter rains, the desert explodes into bloom, and the tortoise enters its most active period. It feeds voraciously on fresh wildflowers, cacti, and grasses, building fat reserves that will sustain it through the harsh summer months ahead. This feast or famine lifestyle requires precise timing and the ability to recognize subtle environmental cues that predict optimal feeding conditions. The desert tortoise's reproductive strategy reflects the challenges of raising young in such an extreme environment. Females may not reproduce until they are 15 to 20 years old, and they invest enormous energy in producing eggs with shells thick enough to protect developing embryos from temperature extremes and predation. Their navigation abilities border on the supernatural. Desert tortoises can return to specific burrows across miles of seemingly identical terrain, using a combination of magnetic sensing, landmark recognition, and possibly even star navigation to find their way across the vast landscape. As our tortoise settles into a patch of shade to wait out the increasing heat of late morning, movement in the distance signals the approach of another desert survivor. This creature has chosen yet another path to survival, one that relies not on armor or underground refuges, but on speed, alertness, and an almost supernatural ability to detect danger from any direction. Across the shimmering heat waves that already dance above the desert floor, a distinctive silhouette appears, moving with the quick, ground-hugging stride that has made it a legend of the American Southwest. The Roadrunner, despite its cartoonish reputation, is actually one of the desert's most formidable predators. A feathered missile capable of reaching speeds of 20 miles per hour while navigating terrain that would challenge an off-road vehicle. This remarkable bird has forsaken the gift of flight for terrestrial mastery, evolving into a perfect running machine. Watch as it pauses to survey the landscape, its head held high and constantly moving, scanning for the slightest sign of prey or predator. Those sharp eyes can detect movement from remarkable distances, and its hearing is so acute it can locate prey moving beneath sand or inside vegetation. The roadrunner's hunting technique combines stealth, speed, and surprising ferocity. It approaches potential prey with the patience of a stalking cat, then explodes into action with lightning-quick strikes. Its diet includes everything from insects and small mammals to lizards, snakes, and even other birds. Most remarkably, roadrunners are among the few birds capable of killing and eating venomous snakes, including rattlesnakes. When confronting dangerous prey like rattlesnakes, the roadrunner employs tactics that would impress a martial arts master. It uses its wings like shields, spreading them to confuse and deflect strikes while positioning itself for the killing blow. The bird's powerful beak can deliver crushing force with surgical precision, typically targeting the head or neck of its prey. The roadrunner's adaptation to desert life extends beyond hunting prowess. Its feathers provide variable insulation, allowing it to regulate body temperature with remarkable precision. During cool mornings, it often positions itself with its back to the sun, spreading special patches of dark feathers to absorb solar radiation and warm up quickly. Like many desert creatures, the roadrunner has evolved efficient kidneys that allow it to survive on minimal water intake. It obtains most of its hydration from prey, and it has developed the ability to excrete excess salt through specialized glands near its eyes. This adaptation allows it to consume prey with high salt content without suffering dehydration. The bird's reproductive strategy reflects the challenges of desert life. Roadrunner pairs work together during nesting season, with males performing elaborate courtship displays that include gift-giving, usually in the form of prey items. The female judges potential mates partly on their hunting ability, ensuring that only the most capable providers pass on their genes. Roadrunner nests are carefully positioned to take advantage of natural climate control. Built in cacti or thorny shrubs, these platforms are oriented to minimize exposure to harsh sun while maximizing protection from The chuckwalla's social behavior reflects the challenges of finding mates in a sparsely populated desert environment. During breeding season, males establish territories around the best basking sites and food sources, defending these areas with impressive displays of head bobbing, push-ups, and color changes that can transform them from drab brown to brilliant orange and black. Their reproductive strategy emphasizes quality over quantity. Females lay relatively few eggs but invest heavily in each one, burying them in carefully selected sites where temperature and humidity conditions optimize hatching success. The young that emerge are essentially miniature adults, fully equipped with the knowledge and instincts necessary for desert survival. As our chuckwalla settles deeper into its rocky fortress to wait out the approaching heat of midday, the desert around it seems to shimmer and dance with rising air currents. These thermals will soon become highways for another desert survivor, one that has mastered a very different approach to life in this extreme environment. Where the chuckwalla has chosen the path of patient endurance, This final creature embodies the principle of opportunistic timing. High above the furnace of Death Valley's floor, where the air shimmers with rising heat and the landscape blurs into waves of distortion, a magnificent silhouette circles with effortless grace. The red-tailed hawk, with its wingspan exceeding 4 feet, has mastered the art of soaring flight, using the desert's own heat as an elevator to reach heights where the air remains cool and prey visibility extends for miles in every direction. This apex aerial predator represents the pinnacle of desert hunting efficiency, combining extraordinary eyesight with flight capabilities that would challenge modern aircraft. Watch as it adjusts its position with minute changes in wing angle and tail configuration, reading the invisible currents of heated air, like a master pilot navigating three-dimensional highways in the sky. The hawk's eyes possess visual acuity 8 times greater than human vision, allowing it to detect the movement of small prey from altitudes exceeding 3,000 feet. Those keen eyes can distinguish colors and patterns invisible to most other animals, picking out the subtle movements of rodents against backgrounds that appear uniformly barren to lesser senses. From its lofty vantage point, the red-tailed hawk surveys a hunting territory that can encompass hundreds of square miles. The bird's hunting strategy in Death Valley differs significantly from its behavior in more forgiving environments. Here, prey is scattered across vast distances, requiring patience and energy conservation that border on meditation. The hawk's talons, each capable of exerting pressure exceeding 200 pounds per square inch, are precision instruments designed for instant kills. When the moment for attack arrives, the hawk folds its wings and drops into a controlled dive that can exceed 100 miles per hour. The impact of this aerial assault is devastating, ensuring that prey has no opportunity to escape or suffer prolongedly. Desert red-tailed hawks have developed remarkable adaptations to extreme heat. Their respiratory system includes specialized air sacs that help cool their bodies during flight, and they can reduce their metabolic rate during the hottest parts of the day to conserve energy and water. They often seek shade during peak heat hours, positioning themselves to take advantage of thermal currents while avoiding direct solar radiation. The hawk's nesting strategy reflects the challenges of raising young in such an extreme environment. Pairs select nest sites on cliff faces or in tall cacti that provide natural air conditioning through wind exposure while offering protection from ground-based predators. The female incubates eggs during the coolest parts of the day, while the male takes over during temperature extremes. Their calls echo across the vast desert landscape, serving as territorial announcements that can be heard for miles. These vocalizations help maintain spacing between competing pairs and serve as communication between mates across the enormous territories required for survival in this resource-poor environment. Red-tailed hawks demonstrate remarkable site fidelity, often returning to the same nesting areas year after year. This behavior allows them to accumulate detailed knowledge of their territories, learning the seasonal patterns of prey movement and the locations of thermal currents that provide the most efficient hunting opportunities. As our red-tailed hawk continues its eternal patrol of the desert skies, riding the thermals that rise from the sun-baked landscape below, it serves as a living symbol of adaptation triumphant. From the smallest kangaroo rat to this master of the aerial realm, each creature we have encountered represents a unique solution to the seemingly impossible challenge of thriving in one of Earth's most hostile environments. The sun reaches its zenith, and the desert enters its daily period of maximum hostility. Surface temperatures climb toward their deadly peaks, and most life retreats to whatever shelter can be found. Yet even in these moments of extreme adversity, the cycle of survival continues, as it has for thousands of years, as it will for thousands more. As our journey through Death Valley's remarkable ecosystem draws to a close, we must confront an uncomfortable truth about the human footprint in this ancient landscape. While Death Valley National Park enjoys federal protection, the pressures of modern civilization continue to challenge the delicate balance that has allowed these extraordinary creatures to thrive for millennia. Climate change represents perhaps the greatest long-term threat to Death Valley's wildlife. Rising global temperatures push this already extreme environment beyond the limits that even highly adapted species can tolerate. The desert bighorn sheep, struggling with increasingly scarce water sources, face population pressures that threaten their ancient migration routes. Springs that have flowed for thousands of years are drying up, forcing wildlife into ever smaller pockets of survivable habitat. Light pollution from distant cities disrupts the nocturnal hunting patterns of creatures like the kit fox and desert hairy scorpion, while noise from increased air traffic interferes with the acoustic hunting strategies that many species depend upon for survival. The introduction of non-native plant species alters the food web relationships that have evolved over geological timescales. Perhaps most critically, human recreational activities, while providing important economic benefits to surrounding communities, create pressure on wildlife populations that are already living at the margins of survival. Off-road vehicle use compacts soils and destroys the delicate cryptobiotic crusts that stabilize desert ecosystems, while increased visitation brings risks of habitat disturbance and wildlife harassment. Yet there remains hope in the dedication of park managers, researchers, and conservationists who work tirelessly to protect these remarkable adaptations to extreme life. Ongoing studies of desert wildlife provide crucial insights into how species might adapt to changing conditions, while careful management of human access helps minimize disturbance to critical habitats. Which of these incredible creatures do you think has the best survival strategy in Death Valley? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories from across the planet.